All right, you grasshoppers, we are here in the box as the name of our show. We got Rick Middleton. We advertised, Rick, that we had such a mystery guest that we didn't know for ourselves who it was. So all the Ranger fans are looking forward to talking to you. Gresh is in the background there. For everybody that's watched our show before, Gresh has had a hard time getting on the computer. That was not the issue this time. Gresh was dealing with a postal worker. Gresh, we're live. You guys already work done with a postal worker?
Yeah, everything's under control.
Okay. You know this guy here?
That's Silky.
Hey, your picture's upside down to me. Is that normal?
That's Gresh. It's
normal for him.
Yeah.
I'll go back.
No, you're fine, Gresh. You're fine. It's just you going through that's the way it was with Dave Maloney too.
Oh, really?
All right. Okay. So we usually have Ron Duguay. Ron Duguay turned on his computer today and it did an automatic update. So he's in the middle of updating his computer. And Dave is taking care of some family business today, so he's not going to join us. But this is the way our show goes.
Hey, as long as we have Gresh, that's all that counts.
I know. Well, the bad thing now is that Dave was the only one that's laughing at Gresh's stories. So
that's because they roomed together. Gresh told me the other day.
That's right.
Yeah, we did. Me, Dave, and myself roomed together in West Warwick, up by Providence.
In the American League. Yeah.
In the American League for a month.
I lived in Cranston.
He was the worst roommate. You couldn't get him out of bed in the morning. He was 18 years old. Get up. I was 19. Get up.
Yeah, I'm sure you were getting him up. So, Rick, how you doing? You're up in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah. I'm on the seacoast, a little town called Hampton Beach.
Good.
Although the beaches aren't open, so.
Right. And so how many years ago, you got your number retired up in Boston, correct?
Yeah, it was November 27th of 2018. Or was it the 29th? God, my mind's going. But anyways, it was 2018. Cam Neely, the GM, was nice enough, and president of the Bruins, was nice enough to call me that summer and sprung it on me. You know, I had noticed that nobody had worn number 16 for maybe 5-6 years. So I thought, maybe there's a shot, who knows? But, I certainly wasn't thinking about it when he calls me on alumni business once in a while because I'm the president. So it came right out of the blue, especially in July. And knocked me off my chair, honest to God. 30 years after I retired, I was like, wow.
And so you and Gresh are good buddies. Did Gresh go up for the ceremony?
He was going to, but his mother got sick.
My mother was going through all her stuff, But anyway,
Gresh, you busy? You got some phone calls coming in, or what?
That's one of my ex-wives texting me.
I have mine on block.
Mine don't talk to me anymore. So.
But Gresh came up for the game as you did for the charity game that we did in Boston and then back to Madison Square the next day. So
that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. It was a long night.
I haven't drank since that day.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You two. That's right. We got to talk to you, Rick. Why did you do that to Ron that night? That was awful. What you did.
Well, like usual, I was the one assigned to take care of him.
Oh man, way overserved.
And I made sure he got back to the hotel okay. And I believe we had a nightcap in the lobby before we even went out. So.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
that's what I needed.
Remember, you needed one more drink. No, you guys couldn't find an elevator, so you had to stop down there and rest up.
We were only coaching. You don't have to worry about skating.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you didn't skate that much anyway, so.
No, I only did a couple shirts.
Listen, then, you were drafted by the Rangers, though, correct?
Yeah, I was drafted the year before Gresh in '73, the year after that they went to the Cup against the Bruins. So when I went to training camp in those days was in Kitchener, Ontario, and they still had a Stanley Cup caliber team. And I went to camp and was treated like gold. I mean, the guys were really nice. Brad and Jean Rattel. I couldn't have asked for more. Even though I felt that, geez, maybe I'm trying to come in here and take somebody's job. I didn't expect to be treated with open arms like I was. Maybe because I was a first round pick, But they sent me to Providence out of camp, which, I thought, yeah, great. Need a little season. I've always taken a step backwards when I played, got drafted in Junior A with Oshawa. I played a B in Toronto because, as you know, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. So I thought a year in Junior A wouldn't in the American Hockey League wouldn't hurt me. But they never called me up one game. I spent the whole year in Providence, which was good because I ended up winning Rookie of the Year. And we went to the Calder Cup against Nixon and lost it in 5 games. But it was a great experience, and then made it up out of camp the next year.
And that's where you meet Ron Greshner.
And then my life changed forever.
No kidding.
Come November,
Hey, listen to me.
this young rookie from Western Canada, just came in, and I felt bad for him. So I said, why don't you come live with me and Bert Wilson? We got an extra closet in the back room.
Hey, Tommy, and that's what it was too.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Well, Rick, what was Gresh like back then? I mean, like, look at him now, like Mr. New York, been here his whole career.
Yeah. He was kind of, he wasn't really, just off the farm, but it was pretty close.
Right.
And so, I kind of showed him around the first year, and then he helped me out on several occasions in the second year. But we won't get into that. I still have very clear memories of some nights and days in Long Beach. But most of it was a blur. But that was the 70s. We were young. We were 20, 21 years old. And thank goodness the drinking age was 18 back then.
Right. Oh, I've heard all the stories about Long Beach. You two guys.
Well, I was always
none of them are true.
See, that's the thing, Rick. That's why I wanted to have you on, because I don't know if the stories are true from Gresh or not.
Well, here's what happened was I got called up, and it was like November 1st or November 2nd, right? November 1st. And we were playing Buffalo, I think, on the 3rd. So I get called up, practice is over. The difference between then and today, they walk over to me, Cat walks over to me, goes, Emil Francis goes, you can find a place to live. I'm going like, okay. I didn't even know where I was. I mean, I'd been to Long Beach once before in my life. On the night I was drafted, I was at a bar there.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Ricky walks over. He goes, "You can stay with us. We got an extra room." I went over to the house, and the room was it just fit a bed, and I had this trunk that my mother sent down with me.
Yeah, I never forget.
And the trunk never got open.
No, lived out of his trunk.
Never opened the trunk.
But the thing is that I spent the year before in Providence, so I was only there a month before he came up. Even though I'm 1 year older, I know I don't look at this. I'm 1 year older. I was only there 1 month before him, so it wasn't like I was a savvy veteran.
Yeah.
But we
so was the Cat coaching then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
They didn't fire him till the next year in '75.
Right.
When I got traded at the end of that year, they brought in 3 coaches that year. The Cat, they fired him. Ron Stewart, they fired him, and then they brought in John Ferguson, and that's who ended up trading me.
So tell us about Gresh. Though, was he kind of cocky though? Is like a Bobby Orr kind of?
No, quiet guy, really, just out having a good time, and he wanted to stay in New York. He didn't want him to send him back to Providence. So,
right.
But again, like I said, it was the '70s. So Sundays we would play Sundays afternoon or Sunday nights, and the Jets and the Giants would play in the afternoon. And we'd all go to this club called the Tittle Tattle down on First Avenue. It was just what we did, right, Greg?
Yeah, every
and Derek Sanderson was on the team that year, and Steve Vickers was single, and so we had 5 or 6 guys that went down. The Studio 54 wasn't even in town till '76, so it was a great club on First Avenue, and the thing was, we had to get back to Long Beach to practice on Monday morning, and sometimes that was a difficult trip.
And occasionally we had a day off.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Not the young rookie.
But there was, I remember New Year's Eve, 1974. There was a bar called the Diggs, and next to it was a bar called the Fireside.
Boy, you got a better memory than me.
And so we went over there at 6 o'clock to eat on New Year's Eve.
To eat, yeah.
To have dinner, to have a steak and that. And we left there. Well, we were going to leave there early, but it was early in the morning.
You said we had an afternoon game against Chicago.
We did the next day. We played Chicago next day. We beat Chicago 6-2. Ricky scores 3 goals.
I got that ticket first start. We left at 6 a.m.
Yeah, we left there at 6 o'clock in the morning. and it was amazing because I'm sitting next to Pete Stemkowski.
Yeah.
I think I told the story before. And Pete's going like, I'm not very happy about the game. The guy's going like, you won 6-2. He goes, well, that doesn't mean anything. It just shows that that Chicago had a way better New Year's Eve.
Yeah, they're in New York City for New Year's Eve, so you can imagine what they did. I swear, Tony Esposito didn't go down the whole game because he knew he couldn't get up.
Where are you from, Rick? Where's home?
Toronto, east end of Toronto, Scarborough.
Right.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brampton, right outside of Toronto.
Oh, Brampton,
yeah. So Gresh is like when he shows up, he's still got the cowboy boots on and everything and the dirt in the boots or what? Like,
yeah. And good soil.
Yeah. That's
just down the road from Gordy Kluzak's place, Climax, Saskatchewan.
Climax?
Climax,
yeah. He's in the
there's a couple jokes
big
there.
area.
I didn't know there's a town named Climax.
Yeah. Right, Gresh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is it bigger than your town?
I think there's one in the States also.
Yeah.
There's 2 climaxes.
Yeah. It's always good to have 2 of those.
Yeah, multiple climaxes.
Yeah. There's also a town in Saskatchewan called Bigger.
Bigger climaxes? Yeah.
No, and then you drive into the thing, it's got a picture of New York, and it goes, New York is big, but this is bigger.
How far is that from the climax?
That's quite a ways. I'm not sure right now. I can't remember.
How far is good soil from Climax?
I don't know where Climax is exactly.
Oh, you don't? That's that small.
I'm way up north. I'm the last town.
It's been a while for Gresh. He doesn't know where the climax is anymore.
I don't think Gordy knows where it is either.
Yeah. No, there was like,
that.
I know I was 400 miles from 200 miles from Saskatoon, 400 miles from Regina, and
my mother was born in Regina, and my grandmother in Moose Jaw. So I never admitted that to you.
My mother was born in Quinton, Saskatchewan. My dad was born in Czechoslovakia.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Huh?
And it's amazing because it's like my father skated one time in his life.
Yeah. Mine
on the first date with my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's romantic. That's like Rocky or something like that. It's romantic.
Yeah.
My dad was from Timmins, Ontario, which is a hockey hotbed, northern Ontario for NHLers in those days. But he never really played hockey. His dad died young, and he had to go to work.
So Rick, you were with the Rangers 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
And who'd you get traded for?
Kenny Hodge.
Oh, that's
Ken Hodge, Senior. Reading in Espo's book and everything afterwards, I think how the whole thing came about was, and a lot of people don't know this, Gresh knows it, because earlier in the year they traded Derek Sanderson. And a couple of weeks after they traded Derek, they put an article in the paper that said the reason they traded him was he was getting 2 of the younger players into training problems, Rick Middleton and Ron Greshner. They actually used our name in the paper. So, of course, I took a little offense to that. Derek's not even here in New York. They're using us as a scapegoat for the reason they traded him. Anyway, some reporter comes in after a game against the Islanders and asked me about it. I didn't know who he was. He wasn't a beat reporter. But I didn't say anything inflammatory. Next day, a guy hands me the New York Post. Inch-high headlines. Middleton takes shot at boss. I said, I'm gone. That was just before Fergie came in. And then Fergie came in and said, oh, we're going to meet with, I think Bill Jennings was the owner in those days. And we're going to meet with Bill. We're going to settle it. Never happened. And Espo and Fergie were good friends. If you remember from the 72 series of the century, they were good. And in Espo's book, he said he was trying to convince them to get one of his old wingers, whether it was Wayne Cashman or Kenny Hodge. And they had soured on me because I guess I was having too much fun in New York. I was the only one having fun, Dresh, not you or anyone.
No, not me. I was.
And so I was the guy that was expendable, which, as it turned out, it helped my career at the time because, the Rangers didn't make the playoffs that year. And 5 years later, you guys are in the finals. But I went to the Stanley Cup Finals the first 2 years I was in Boston. So it was a good move.
How many years were you in Boston?
12.
12 years. Wow.
76 to 88.
Wow.
My last game was the night the lights blew at the Boston Garden in '88 in the finals against Edmonton.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
We went to Edmonton, last game at the Garden. Went to Edmonton, got beat there, and then Harry bought me out of my option year in June. 12 points from 1,000. Thanks, Harry.
I remember coming up playing in Boston against you, and Gresh was telling me, like, oh, yeah, watch him. He's good. He's good. He's a good stick handler and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, this guy's no good. He's not that good. So you come down on me, and puck's bouncing around. You put it between my legs and go in and score. And I'm done. He just got lucky. He got lucky. And then goes down on me again, same thing. And I'm going, oh, God. That was like your stick handling was that something that was natural to you, or you work at it?
Well, I never had the big shot from outside. So I learned early in my career just out of necessity to get close to the net. And the only way to do that is go around the defenseman. But I played a lot of street hockey as a kid, growing up in a new suburb of Toronto in the 60s when we got 3 TV stations. Right, there's nothing to do. We were out on the street every day, and I had a street lamp right in front of my house. So of course, all the kids came to my place. And we played every day. And I swear I developed a lot of the skills by chasing a bouncing, frozen tennis ball.
Sure.
And playing with it in your feet and moving it up to your stick and going left. You learn all the same moves except for skating, obviously, but the stick handling, shooting, passing, and if you're doing it every day, you don't even know you're learning it.
Yeah.
Then it must have morphed over onto the ice at one time. And like I always said, I only had one move, and I tried it all the time.
Yeah,
sometimes
you had more than one move.
sometimes I get knocked on my ass.
Yeah.
You should have tried it on me. I knew that move.
I
I
got a picture. I'm launching a website Monday or Tuesday, and I got a picture of you sliding along the ice, blocking it, what you think I was going to shoot or pass. It's a good picture, so check it out.
Got fell down, or he went down to block?
He went down, so I couldn't put the puck through his legs.
Oh, I see.
It works.
Yeah, it worked.
See, didn't Freddie Shearer? I think I read someplace where Freddie Shearer was coaching. He did that with guys who they practice with a tennis ball. Sometimes, like, and teach them how to stick handle. Yeah.
No, the puck's always bouncing. You mentioned I never minded the puck bouncing because I figured I had as much of a chance of corralling it as the
Sure. Oh, it's true though. I remember playing against you, and I'm thinking, like, every time the puck's bouncing, like, it's like you were lucky. And I'm thinking, how the heck is this guy doing this? And it was obviously you weren't lucky because every time.
I was always trained to make the defenseman look down, and it was try to get that puck in their feet somewhere, but not throw it all the way through, but just put it in there. So it's very hard because you can see it, but you can't see it exactly. So a lot of D would all of a sudden look down because they knew it was there, and then as they looked down, I'd make my move.
Yeah.
And as I said, it worked sometimes, didn't work other times. There was a guy, Richie Dunn from Buffalo, a guy that passed away. I couldn't get around him. He would never take his eyes off my chest, and I could give him one of these. And boom, he hit me. I ran up on my butt every time.
I remember Richie Dunn. Did he pass away?
Yeah, Boston boy, a New England kid. Yeah.
Oh, wow. He's a good player. I remember him.
A year or two ago, I read. Yeah.
Wow. So come on, you got to have some old Gresh stories. I mean, I hear the Rick Middleton stories all the time.
Well, we were only together for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how much can you do in 2 years? There's 700 and some days in those 2 years, and you're out 700 of them.
And really, I think after we had so much fun the first year, we really didn't hang out a lot the second year.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend at the time, which we won't get into, but so I was busy there. And Gresh, I don't know. In that second year, did you have a steady girlfriend?
It was a young lady up in Jersey.
Up in Jersey? Oh, that's why I never saw you.
Yeah. But anyway, it was our second year. Ricky was living by with a friend, and after about 2 months of that, he said to me, "You have to move in with me." I go, "What? I'm not going in there."
I just needed some moral support because things were
talked
going
me into it
pretty quickly.
Oh.
So he moves in the house, and we'll just leave it at that. It was I could write a book. I could.
So you get up to Boston. I mean, it seemed like you had a great bunch of guys up there too, like Terry O'Reilly and Wayne Cashman, all those old guys.
I mean, Raddy, Jean Rattel, and Brad were already up there, so I played with them in New York. And again, like the Rangers, I got accepted. I stayed that summer. I got traded. I got traded in May, but I stayed in Long Beach for the summer with a buddy of mine. had a great summer. And next thing I know, I have to find Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and we didn't have GPSs in those days. We got the map out and got to get to training camp, and we stayed at the lovely Holiday Inn in Fitchburg and show up the first day in training camp and meet all the guys and get on the ice. And this is Don Cherry tells this story all the time, but he screws it up. So I get on the ice and I'm skating around. I just met Wayne Cashman and Bobby Schmatz and Peter McNabb, who just got traded from Buffalo there. Ended up my roommate for 8 years on the road.
Huh?
And Don comes over and takes his glove off because I knew Don because he coached Rochester when I was in Providence. He sticks his hand out to shake my hand. He goes, "Ricky boy," he always call me Ricky boy. "Ricky boy, you're looking a little bigger." He says, "You've been working out?" I said, "No, Don, I just had a good summer." He said I was 20 pounds overweight. I might have been 5, but Bobby Schmatz fell down. He was laughing so friggin' hard. It's the only time I've ever seen Don Cherry speechless.
Is that right? That's good. How many years did he coach you there?
3.
Oh.
2 Stanley Cup finals and the famous 7th game, Too Many Men on the Ice, which we would have played you guys in 1979 for the Cup. But we were 1 minute away. I scored with 4 minutes to go up 4-3. And with 2 minutes, we had too many men, and 1 minute, Lafleur scored, of course, and they beat us in overtime.
Wow. So I remember guys.
I ever played it. That was emotional. Yeah.
I remember guys like Terry O'Reilly, like that, like going into the Boston Garden, like that was Terry O'Reilly, Stan Jonathan, John Wensick, Wade.
It gave me a lot of room. I mean, other teams had to worry about those guys, if we were losing or, somebody was trying to take, a little advantage of us, and, certain guys would do what they were there to do. But, Terry, in 1978, Terry led the Bruins in points and penalty minutes. I mean, he scored 300 goals in his career for spending like 2,000 or 3,000 minutes in the penalty box. Yeah. He scored a lot of goals and a lot of nice goals. Stan had 25 goals his first year, and I ended up with 20. He outscored me. So these guys, they weren't just there to fight, but they certainly, in the little Boston Garden, it was very hard to get away from.
Right. Yeah, and it was nice there because there was no corners. You couldn't hide.
No corners. It's like shoot the puck around. That's all.
Yeah. I like how if you get thrown out of the game, you had to go through your bench too, right?
Oh, I know. Well, that caused a lot of problems with Nyland was one of the famous ones.
Yeah.
There was others, Buffalo, I think, Philadelphia. Somebody always said something, and that was it.
Yeah. So you had the big series against the Islanders. That like Terry O'Reilly and Clark Gillies going at it every game.
Oh God, I was 83. We finished first in the league that year, and we had home ice advantage all the way through the playoffs. We had 5 guys went to the All-Star game in Washington, I think it was that year, and we were sailing. But the thing is, we had never won it. And the Islanders had won 3 already, so they what they say. Once you know how to win it, you got a big advantage.
Did you play them when they won their first cup too? Didn't
you guys in 1980? You guys lost to them too.
Did we really? I can't remember 80.
Yeah, I remember
83 though. Yeah, Terry. Well, there was a kind of like an unwritten rule for Terry, and it was you might as well let him win the first fight because he's just going to keep coming back if he loses. So that's what happened. He came back the next game. After the second fight, I believe, in the island, he came down for breakfast and both his eyes were closed. But he got them open by game time. Wow. And I don't know if it was that game or a game in Boston, but he got Clarkie down on his knees. And Terry, usually a straight-on fighter, but he was so frustrated. He just kneed Clarkie right in the face. He got thrown out. He was so frustrated. Well, you know how big Clarkie was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, man.
I wouldn't want to play him.
And so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is Mike Milbury the most hated man that you've ever played with? Or?
Oh, one of them. I mean, a lot of guys on the other teams didn't like him. I don't know. Mike was a guy that would get under your skin because, he would fight. I mean, it wasn't like it was like a Marchand where he'd yap a lot, although I'm sure he did. But he'd hook and hold and slash and do whatever he needed to do to stay, as one of the defensemen. And Don Cherry wanted him. I know he came out of Colgate University, but he played a kind of a rough and tumble game and had some offensive ability at times. You'd see him rush the puck, but his job was just to get under people's skin, and a lot of guys in the league didn't like him.
Well, he could be tough on that team, though.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it certainly helped. He wasn't the number one guy.
No, he was like if he was on a list there, he was about number 7. So
Exactly.
it was
Yeah.
like you had to worry about the other
Exactly.
6 guys before him.
Then they brought in LC Court.
I know.
Oh,
That
That's
was a
fun
sad
playing
day because Terry told me, he said, when Al came in, he said, kind of gave me a breather. I was getting a little older, and now I thought Al could take over a lot of that role. And then they trade him for Mike O'Connell, and now I got to do it all over again.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But Terry took it on as a job. It was his job to make sure everybody was like, fair on the ice. And,
But O'Reilly was just a hard worker, though. I mean, he
was, yeah.
he just worked hard on the ice.
He always came at you from the front, not from behind. He
Yeah.
wouldn't sucker you from the side or anything.
No, he played the body. He played a good game. He played.
Yeah.
I remember going up to Boston to visit you. I don't remember if it was 77 or 78 in the playoffs. We were playing Philly.
Yeah.
And got me 2 seats. They were like about 15 rows up.
Yeah.
Behind the net, right? 20 rows up.
Right.
I'm with this girl and so we're this girl Chloe and I was going out with. And so we go up there. We're in the back room drinking by the locker rooms with Freddie Shearer before the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Freddie's talking to me. I'm like, oh boy, like I didn't, I was just in there. I happened to get in there somehow. I got into that part of the building.
Watching the game, yeah.
Well, the game had started, right?
Oh.
So me and Chloe, we walked down to.
What's her name, Gresh?
Chloe.
Chloe.
And so we walked down to the seats, and we're trying to get into the middle of the row, where the seats are, right?
Yeah.
And a puck comes over and bang right into one of those seats where we're going to go sit in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So guess where we ended up? Never watched the game. Went back to that room where all the booze is, and watched like 2 seconds of.
Hard to believe.
Never got to watch the game at all.
Well, I remember we beat them out 4 straight in Philly. I scored in the first game in overtime against Bernie in Philly. Terry scored in double overtime in game 2, and we won both games in Boston. One of the games we were at. We knocked them out.
I was the 4th game because I went to you guys had a party after. We went to the party.
Oh yeah.
Did Chloe go?
Yeah. We came to the party. It was at some house. I can't remember where.
You remember better than I do.
But I remember we ended up staying by. I stayed at. That's my only time ever going to college. I went to Tufts University for the weekend.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was nice.
And what happened to Chloe?
Tom, you're asking the crazy question. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. You're asking me what happened.
You remember the game though, so you're doing.
I remember the game. I remember you guys won the game.
And you remember Chloe, so that's all that counts.
Yeah, and it was like but they had a nice little room in the back there. Where the locker rooms were.
Well, hold on, Gresh. Hold on. What? So where'd you meet Chloe?
Oh, I met her. I don't remember at the garden probably Madison Square Garden. And
okay.
What was that place downstairs? Charlie O's.
Charlie O's. Met her there.
Yeah.
Madison Square, yeah, Charlie.
Yeah. And it was a really nice young lady. But anyway, it was. I remember going to Boston.
Hold on. What was Chloe's last name? Like,
I'm not going to say that.
No,
I remember it though.
No last name.
Yeah, I remember it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a good memory, just like it's short.
Was it?
You never know when it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Did you have like a long relationship, Gresh? Was it here for a while?
We went out for a while, but I remember bringing two of my cousins came from Canada.
Right.
And we went to their house. They lived in Jersey, so they lived in Red Bank. So we go to their house, and we walk in. They had this monster home, right? We walk in, and I turn around and introduce my cousins to her, and her mom was there. And my cousins weren't behind me. It was raining out. They were at the front door taking their shoes off, the Canadian custom, right? They're at the front door taking their shoes off. And I'm like looking around. I'm going like, where the hell did they go? Oh. So you met the parents and everything. This was a real relationship here. Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Put it that way, Tom.
What year?
A long time ago. What?
What year was that?
That was 1977, 78, somewhere in there.
Yeah, after I was gone. Yeah, because I don't remember.
Well, I couldn't keep anybody around when you were there. Oh God.
Right? We were having too much fun then.
So Rick, you never met Chloe?
No.
Yeah, you did.
And I did. Oh, maybe at that night after
at Boston. Yeah, I remember there was some house we were at, And all your guys, like all your team, your guys were all having a few. It was probably orange juice or something. It looked like orange juice.
Probably.
Apple juice or something,
Probably.
but it was knowing that team. But,
Well, you said you met her at Charlie O's. Back in '75. I don't know if you remember Toots Shore.
Yeah.
Toots, the great New Yorker, had a little club, and it was the last year. I think he died in '76. But I used to go over there before going out, and he would tell me stories about Babe Ruth and Frank Sinatra, and Mickey Mantle.
He was very good friends with Joe Namath.
Was he? He was a great gentleman, a real nice gentleman. Signed a napkin for my parents, which I still have to this day. And he's an icon in New York. I mean, outside of New York, not a lot of people know who he was. But
so we got a note here. I think this is from Steve Vickers' brother. Nifty, you sent me and my college buddies to a bar called the Red Lion. Took us a little bit to realize what kind of bar it was. It was on Bleecker Street. A man was wearing. Is that true?
In Boston? Well, I don't know. I swear I've never been there. Maybe I sent them there for a joke. Was Sarge with them? Was Sarge with them?
No.
Vickers,
we tried to get Sarge on last week, and he could not. He made Gresh look good when it came to the computer.
Oh my God!
He couldn't get on.
He couldn't get on.
His name is not Sarge; it's Casper. Okay, let's get that straight. He disappears.
But it's funny with golfing.
But you liked it. When you got to Boston, you liked it up there. You had to end up staying there, living there.
Well, you know what I did? I always wanted to live downtown. In New York, you couldn't afford. Normal people like me and you couldn't afford New York at that time. Only Derek and Roger Bear lived in the city. So when I got to Boston, I rented an apartment downtown with my roommate who I stayed in Long Beach with that summer, Peter Carey. Peter came up in his business a couple months later to live with me. So I was right downtown Boston, 5 minutes from Daisy Buchanan's. I was telling Gresh, if you've ever been to Daisy's, just 2 years ago. It was an iconic sports bar all these years. Derek used to own it. Derek Sanderson and his partner, Joey Cimino. And, so that first year was great. But Don Cherry put me on a line with Jean Rattel, and I never got a chance to play with Ratty in New York because Rod Gilbert was always his right winger. So I was thrilled to be on a line with the great Jean Rattel. And Johnny Busick on left side, another icon, right? So my very first game, I get a hat trick against Minnesota. And I'm thinking, wow, what a great start. It's going to be a great year. But Don freaking benched me the rest of the year because he said I didn't know how to check my hat, meaning like I didn't know. He had to introduce me to the goalie at the end of the year. Right? So honestly, I got 3 in the first game. I got 20 in the whole year. So that was my 3rd year in the league, and I still couldn't play regular. But then after that, he worked me in on left wing and right wing, which was great because I made it on left wing in the '81 Canada Cup for Canada. I never would have made the team. I think Perreault and Barbers both got hurt, and they asked me if I could play left wing. So if Don hadn't played me at left wing, I probably wouldn't have made that team.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Good. So, Gresh, do you think we could find Chloe? Can you track her down and maybe get her on the show?
I'm not sure, Tom. I think a lot of water has passed under the bridge.
Really?
What makes you think she'd want to see him again?
That's exactly my point.
Come on. Who would not want to see Ron Greshner again?
Well, I agree.
I can name you a bunch of people.
Right. So that's over like 40 years ago, right?
More.
Yeah. Wow.
45.
Were you playing then, Tom? Were you playing junior then, Tom, or what were you doing?
I was in college. I was getting an education, Northern Michigan University, right there.
Oh.
You know what Tom's Ricky? You know what Tom's trademark was? Well, he only did it a few times because he only scored a couple goals in college, but was breaking a stick over his head.
So
without a helmet?
Without a helmet.
So my first year of college, I scored 1 goal. I think my second year of college, I scored. Okay, so that's my first year in college. I scored 1 goal. So I'm working in a hockey camp up there. It's up in Marquette, Michigan, and a kid kind of cracked his stick. So I thought I was just joking around. I grabbed the stick and put it over my head and finished it off, broke it. And then they're all like, "Well, you could never do it with a real stick, a stick that's perfect stick." So I, of course, being the really intelligent 19-year-old, I grab a really good stick, healthy stick, pull it down on my head. And there's no way I was going to not do it, right? Because now I'm being dared.
Yeah.
So I broke the stick over my head. And then at the end of the week, all the parents come to pick up the kids from the camp. So all the kids are like, you got to see this guy. He can break sticks over his head. So the parents who want to take pictures of me breaking sticks over my head. So I then got drafted by the Rangers, and they, it got announced that I broke sticks. No, I should back up. And then they asked me they'll say, you'll never do it if you score a goal during the game. You'll never do it during the game. I thought, well, chances are I'm not going to score anyway. So they dared me, and I did it. I scored. I went to center ice and turned around and looked at the goaltender, really? My helmet off, and broke the stick over my head. And I'm standing there with the 2 pieces of stick there, So, yeah. And so then the Rangers drafted me and Freddie Shero. So that was the big story, that the Rangers drafted this guy that breaks sticks over his head. So,
yeah.
So, yeah.
And he broke one over his head in New York because he scored that goal that one year.
That one, yeah, scored on. Actually, I scored my first game.
First goal was on.
I scored on JD. I bounced it off. I shot my own net. I bounced it off JD's leg and scored
in Boston.
Yeah. Of course, Gresh was a lot of help. Like, I think Gresh would come over and kind of console me, and help me make me feel better about myself. He was laughing at me.
It was in Boston?
Yeah.
It was in Boston. I go, what you want to do is score in the other net. That one helps us.
I'm trying to make light of it,
Oh God, no! Nobody even talked to me. It was hilarious because nobody could coach me. What are you going to say, Tom? Don't do that. I mean,
what do you?
Like you did it on purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Ricky, I saw your name on a list of players that.
You were telling me that.
Top 50 list of players that never won the cup.
Yeah, what a great list to be on.
Yeah.
Really?
Number one was Marcel Dion. And
well, what makes you number one? I said to you, I wonder the guy that should be number one is the guy that lost the most cups.
Right.
Well, then you'd be number one then.
Well, I lost 3, and that'd probably be close if you go down that list. Some guys never even made it there. Like Marcel was never in the final, was he?
Who's that?
Marcel?
No, Marcel never made
it.
He
was,
I think they were just going by how many goals, how many years he played. And,
I mean, Brad was in 2. Brad Park would be on the list, but see, I was the only guy that was left in Boston in '88 final from the 77-78 finals. So that's what gave me 3.
Yeah.
So we got Kevin Davis here. Says you got a picture of you, Gresh, with some lady. I don't know if he's got the correct spelling there, Cole. So I'm worried about some of our viewers whether they can spell properly or not. But but if he can get that picture to us and see if that's Chloe, I'd love to get her on the show.
All I can say is thank God there wasn't cell phones back then.
No kidding.
You're just getting out of jail now. Things that were done back then. Yeah, I don't know how the guys do it nowadays. I remember the first year, Turk lived at Sovereign Towers on 58th Street. Yeah. And then once in a while, Ricky and myself would take his rolls, go down the street a little bit.
Oh, Teddy Benjamin drove it all the time.
Yeah, and then we go
gas station in Long Beach.
Yeah, and it was like, but it was New York was really different in 1974 than it is today. There was like parts of the place that were like the garden, like the garment center and all that stuff. There was all different, But now it's all apartment living. There's no more businesses. Like the businesses are all different. It's bars and restaurants and banks. Yeah. But New York still. I love it.
Around First Avenue, you're okay, but you really didn't want to go a lot of other places.
We didn't know anywhere else. Yeah. I mean, there was a bar that opened on the west side. That was open that I went to a few times. It was called Cafe Central. It was on 75th in Amsterdam. And a guy named Peter Herrero, I think he lives in the Carolinas now, owned it. Mm-hmm. And there was no pictures allowed in there. There was like, I think Bruce Willis was a bartender.
Really?
Yeah, there was a bunch of these guys all owned it, and Peter ran it and owned it.
Bruce Willis was a bartender?
He was a bartender back then.
Wow.
Back in the 80s. But
I remember one of my favorite places to go was Rodney Dangerfield's.
Yeah, that was on First Avenue also.
First Ave, yeah.
I went there one time, and he didn't do that many shows there anymore.
Yeah, I never saw him there. I saw everybody.
I saw him there one time. He was there. I went there, and there was a couple guys. We went 4 or 5 of us went to watch him, and he picked on hockey players, boy. Because back then, nobody even knew what hockey players were.
Yeah, yeah,
Not like today.
exactly.
But, he was picking on us.
I remember I took a date there one night, and she left to go to the bathroom, and I'm sitting there. It's like half an hour later. I'm like, where the hell is she? Right? I thought she left. Right? She comes back. I said, what happened? She says, oh, one of the comedians tried to pick me up. He had me in his room. And I said, which one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either, hey, don't
The
go back
things
to
you
that.
remember.
Don't go back to the story we can't tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Story you can't tell.
Which one is that?
One where you lost your clogs.
Oh, yeah.
Can't tell that one.
No, I can't tell that one. No.
Did anybody try to steal?
You can tell the last line of it if you want.
The last line of it. No, I can't.
Okay.
Chris, did anybody try to steal Chloe from you?
No. I had a lot of cop friends.
Oh.
You know. Always stick up for the NYPD or any cops anywhere. I'm always on their side.
As I remember in those days, we kind of like to jab each other. Like I tried to go out with girls he went out with, and he tried to go out with some girls that I went out with.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Right there? That first year? Was it?
Yeah, not all of them though.
No, not all of them, no.
There was.
It was that first year only.
Yeah, there was a couple interesting things that year. I remember one thing. There was a bunch of the guys in the team got into a fight in Long Beach, and we were playing Monopoly in the city. Remember that? Me and you and Turk.
No, I don't. Where his boat?
Yeah, the next day the cat comes and threw his wallet on the floor and said that he bet that I was in the fight. I go, no, I was playing Monopoly.
Yeah, believe that. Yeah.
And Turk goes, yeah, he was. And the cat picks up his wallet after and comes over to me and he says to me, I'm sorry I said that to you.
We were in the city when the fight was
the first time. That was the first time I wasn't in one of those bars at that night.
Right.
But you believe that story, Rick? Rick, you can't remember that, right?
I don't remember that. No.
No.
No,
Well,
I don't remember that.
well, you can Pete Stemkowski remembers it really well.
Well, I'm not saying that it was crazy days, but I remember. Remember we had a backup goalie, Dunk Wilson.
Yeah.
Backup, and for some reason I got into my head I wanted to drive a motorcycle, and Brad Park had a 250 or something, not a big bike, but he gave it to me to drive around Long Beach, no license, and I swore I would never have a few beers and drink it, but so. Dunk and I got it in our heads that we were going to drive he got hold of a motorcycle. I had Brad, and we wanted to drive it into the bar, into the Fours. And the Fours looked like Cheers in those days. It was a big square bar. And we drove it around the bar twice and back out the door. I took the bike back to Brad the next day, and I never got on one for 30 years.
All right.
And I do have my license today, but I never rode. No, I said, you can have
I
it.
think there was you, Dunk, and a couple other guys.
I only remember Dunk and I, and
I can't mention any
I
names.
don't know why they
in
traded.
trouble.
I was only having fun.
But that was Long Beach was a great place to live though. Like that was.
It was actually Atlantic Beach where we were, but
Yeah,
we would go down.
People were nice. And,
yeah. Oh, great people. Super.
Oh, yeah.
But Chloe is
remember,
from New Jersey, though, right, Gresh? Chloe is from New Jersey? Chloe is from New Jersey, though?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut's all the same.
How long's it been since you've seen it?
What year did I start playing with you, Tommy?
1980.
That was before that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I didn't get to meet her.
No. If you would have,
So a little over 4 years.
It would have been in Windsor that night.
Very good.
A little over 40 years. So what was she, 16 at the time? So she'd be like
16. No. No, I never.
New chapter in your life. I didn't know this stuff about Chloe. Like I didn't know. I thought like we were friends. I knew everything, but
no. But no, it was the first 2 years of my playing in Long Beach. A lot of it cannot remember much of it, but I remember the summer times.
right.
Wintertime you were traveling and You know,
Oh, it's a summer resort town.
yeah. It was
Like I said, in the winter, there was nothing but bookies and bartenders. You know, there wasn't
and
just airline people. Yeah.
airline people.
I remember this one guy. You wouldn't see him every night, but every once in a while, for about a week, he'd be in the bar and he'd be hammered every night. Like, one time, I asked somebody. I said, "What does that guy do?" He said, "Oh, he's an Eastern Airlines pilot."
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I sat with one of those guys one night. It was 4:00 in the morning. We were there.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got to get going. Okay.
Some of the stories you don't want to hear.
He had a 7:00 flight to Boston, and he was flying. It was what was it back then? Eastern, I think.
Eastern.
Yeah.
The shuttle.
He was flying the Eastern shuttle, and it was 4:00 in the morning. I'm going, thank God I'm not on that flight.
Well,
Holy shit.
All right, guys. Rick, great to see you here. We're going to have you on again. Tell us the stories.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I always enjoy it. You know, what happens is, you say one story, then another one, your mind starts working.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think what we'll do now is maybe have a whole show just dedicated to the memory of Chloe, just to see where if we can go with that. Like maybe have all the fans see if they can find Chloe in New Jersey and get her on the show.
It's like, where's Waldo?
Yeah. Right. We'll go to that. Imagine if we could track her down now.
We'll leave it go. We'll leave it go.
Oh no. We can't leave that go.
Just better
Listen, if we're going to Jersey, then we're also going to Windsor.
All right, let's go. We won't go place.
We won't go there, right?
We don't need to go back there.
Hey, see, Windsor is kind of like the clog story.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of those better to leave it alone.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Let's go over some years.
Just to end this thing up, Tommy and myself were roommates back when we first started.
Oh, yeah.
So his first year was 80-81, right?
Yeah.
And, hard-working farm boy, like one of those guys, he gets up there, he plays, fights, whatever he has to do.
Yeah.
So we're in Vancouver, and we're going to LA, and it's Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
Super Bowl Sunday. So we're roommates, so we figure, okay, Super Bowl starts at like 5.
You're in LA for Super Bowl Sunday?
Yep.
We're in LA. We're at the hotel at that Marriott, whatever.
Oh, yeah. That's where we. Yeah.
So me and Tommy, we're going to do this whole thing up, and we're going to watch the game and everything else. So we had ordered a few beers in.
We had a few the night before too, though.
Yeah, we had a lot of the night before. We went to San Diego.
That's what LA was good for.
Yeah. So now we order buckets of shrimp and tacos and steak and a whole grand thing just for me and him. We woke up, the ice was melted, the game was over, and the beers were warm. never had any of it.
Never saw the game.
What happened? What happened?
What do you mean the game's over?
Hopefully you didn't have any money on it.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez. I was like...
All right, Rick. It's great to have you on. We're going to have you back again. We'll find Chloe.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Gresh, we'll talk.
You got it. Okay.
All right.
Everybody. Okay, bye.
See you guys.
Bye. Stay safe.